Hey guys, it's me Rebecca. So this will be the start of another weekly vlog, and so far today I've just done some cleaning and laundry, and I also edited my previous video. I'm about to work on a thumbnail, which will take me 5 minutes of how minimum my thumbnails are. And I've done some reading. If you saw my last vlog, you would have seen I was reading The Witch's Heart by Janine Gorrick, and I'm liking it. I'm intrigued about it. And we see with Androboda, she is starting to question if she can trust Loki. Like, she's very much aware that Loki is someone who has multiple faces, and that each face is to really serve a purpose for him, and she's not sure if she can trust him with what he says, that if he's being truly honest, or if it's just like another face that he's wearing for her. And her friend Scotty, who's also part of is part of the gods and who interacts with the gods, also questions this marriage if Loki's told her everything, because it seems like he has multiple masks, multiple, like, I guess, personalities depending on who he's with. And we see how Androboda, she does bear 3 children. One who is someone who doesn't really grow, it seems like, and has blue legs, like almost rotting flesh. And the other 2, one is born in wolf form and can talk to her through like mind connection, while the other is born in snake form, and neither of them have human forms. And she does have this vision. She can see, she does have visions and come to her like dreams, and she's aware someone is trying to get her to go deeper in her prophecies to see how the world will end, specifically how this one person will die. And the vision she has is Loki and this wife that he claims the gods made him take, being tortured for something, and a wolf who looks a lot like her son is eating people, and a snake who also looks like her other son is harming people, and a lot happening, and she's worried like what this means for her children. And we see how she just wants to protect her children, and what happens when someone tries to harm them. Like, we see Loki's relationship with them change for the negative, especially with his son who looks like a wolf, as he had the audacity and was way out of line by saying she's the mother of monsters. So, and this is also when she meets his other wife who followed him, and she called the children monsters and is upset at Androboda rightfully, and she showed this woman a vision of Shoda, and it frightened her, and Loki tried to keep her from going to the gods with what happened, but she did it anyway. And now it seems the gods will be after the children, and Androboda, she no longer trusts Loki, and she's upset with him rightfully after what he said to her. And she decides to ensure, she had this like a spell to really hide the existence of her cave, hide her existence, the existence of her children, and only 3 people were able to locate her. Her friend Scotty, Scotty's cousin, I forgot the name is Gerd, and Loki. However, she changed his spell so Loki can no longer find her, but he used Gerd to find her and has her separated from her children, and it seems like he led the gods to her, and she was wearing this like this hair wrap to hide her hair, something that married women do, and she took it off when she was going to her children, which symbolizing everything. That the marriage is over, rightfully so. So yeah, we'll see how some of the gods and what will happen to her children. I'm kind of scared for her, and yeah. So far, I'm definitely intrigued, and I do want to see more of Loki, more of like the multiple faces he has, because he is this trickster on this, and it's also like what will happen to Andrew Bottle now that this space she made for herself, this safe space, is no longer that. Now it's been infiltrated by the gods, by those she tried to hide from. So yeah, I'm very much intrigued. And yeah, I think that's all for now. So it's the next day, and I've just done some work and whatnot, and I have done something of The Witch's Heart, putting me on page 280, and I'm definitely liking this, and with what I would see Androboda have her children taken away from her by the gods, and Thor hits her in the head with his hammer, knocking her out, and she is able to go to that place where Odin wants her to, and there she remained for 9 days and 9 nights until Skadi came for her, and Androboda had been tied up to a tree using rope made specifically to hold her, and by Frasier, I believe her name is. And Scotty tells her the fate of her children, how her youngest son, who is a snake, was fallen into the ocean. So he had grown a lot to the point where it's like he probably survived, while her son, Fenrir, who is a wolf, was tied up, and he also grew a lot, and it seems like later on they moved him to a place where she wouldn't be able to find him at all. And with her daughter, how she was thrown into this realm of the deaf because she's half dead, and we learn through the years that she became the leader of this realm and the leader of the, and that she resents her mother for not trying to save her. I think she doesn't have the full picture essentially, but there's a lot of resentment over there. Anyway, Androboda, like obviously she hates Loki with everything, and she is starting to remember her past, but also because of what happened to her, she's no longer able to prophesize, and she is led on this mission for many years to a place where she has to go. It's like someone is leading her somewhere, and she does get answers, and she does learn some of the things she had previously prophesied have come true through. It seems like Loki got involved in making sure it happened, but the one thing that Androboda is struggling is that if Odin knew like what would happen, how everything would end, how everyone would die in it doesn't seem like he did anything to prevent it. I guess she was thinking, oh, he must be trying to find a loophole or something, somehow to get out of it. But that doesn't seem to be the case, so yeah, I'm curious about what Odin is planning and what will happen in the last, like, I think 60 pages, 67 pages I have left. So yeah, and we do learn why Loki, it seems like he was son Odin's youngest son, his favorite son, who house one for some reason, and I'm just assuming that's this Loki's way of trying to make up with his daughter for taking her away from her mother and casting her away. by giving her a husband. So that's what I'm assuming, but we will see. But yeah, so far I'm liking it and seeing how slowly, not how, oh my god, Andrew Boda with the help of this she-wolf is slowly uncovering her memories of her past. And I'm wondering why she's not able to remember her past. Like, if because she doesn't really seem to remember a lot of her time with the guards, and it seems like maybe something to do with the fire, and if like she was burned 3 times, maybe she's tried to protect herself by closing her mind off to certain memories. But yeah, I'm intrigued. So yeah, also one last thing before I go is that there might be something brewing between Scotty and Androboda. I'm down for that. I would like that. Because they just seem very close and they care about each other a lot, and it's genuine and they truly do care about each other. Like, there's nothing for the other person to gain if from the partnership. Like, yes, they do trade, but that's on a professional basis. Well, personally, they're honest with one another, and I like that. So yeah, I think that's all for now. So I'll see you when I see you. So it's the next day, and I've done some work and whatnot, and I've also just been struggling. I don't know, I'm dealing with some brain fog, which is just fun, but yeah, I think my concentration has come back to me, so that's good. Because I have some more work I would like to do today. But anyway, I have done some reading, and I did finish The Witch's Heart, and I enjoyed this overall, and I'm gonna give it 4 stars. And yeah, with the last bit I read, we do see Scotty and Androboda. They acknowledge that there's feelings there between them, and after Androboda, we get her inner dialogue on how she's worried, she's overthinking things, she's reading into things that she's making things seem more than they are and whatnot. And turns out she wasn't. That Scotty returned those feelings, and we see the brief moments, which is very cute and nice. And we do learn that Loki has been punished for some deeds, and so has his wife there, and with the gods skin. I don't think I pronounced that correctly at all, but with Loki, one of the sons he had with skin was turned into a wolf and ripped apart the other son, and then went away. And that other son, it's like guts essentially were turned into chains for Loki, which turned into iron, and he was put in a cave and has this poisonous snake dripping venom on him, which is this torture, and Skin is they're holding a bucket trying to help him. And Androboda decides to save him, and that's really what starts the apocalypse, because when they get out of the cave, they notice the sun and moon are disappearing, and it's the start of everything. When we see her reunite with her sons, they don't hold so much of a grudge towards her, but seems like more towards Loki. And yeah, and she goes back to Ironwood to continue what she's doing, which is to build this shield against fire, which isn't for her but for Hel. Like, she just wants to protect her daughter. And then we see how Scotty goes to fight to avenge her father's death and whatnot. And we see how and one of Odin's sons come to the Ironwood, and how had to get out of Horomas, with the lines between life and death being this gone essentially. The death have gone back to the living world, meaning there's no one there, and her realm was keeping her strength, making her stronger, and now her strength is gone, and Androboda is desperate to save her daughter and decides to give her her heart to replace it, because it seems like how was hard, like when it wasn't fully formed or before she was born, and that's why she tried to die. And when Andromeda does this, she gets this vision of the war, of everything, of the apocalypse and whatnot. And she sees the fighting and whatnot. And she is able to use her abilities to save Hao and Odin's son, who has taken a fancy to Hao. And you see Andromeda and her aunt saying goodbye to those who she cared about and those who were there for her, and yeah, we just see her end, and we see the start of this new world, I guess, where there's only humans, there's no more gods. How and Odin's son, they have children and then grandchildren and great grandchildren, and they pass on stories. And I do like that, how these stories, by telling these stories, the people in them will never die, essentially. Like, yes, these stories over time might be, I guess, corrupted and changed because of memory or because it might serve a purpose, but the people will continue to live on. That's not the way they might be, and I just like that. And yeah, for the ending, there's a bit, I would say, ambiguous, with apparently sighting of Andromeda, it seems like, but I don't know if that was her ghost hunting the woods or what, but yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. And yeah, and I'm gonna go do some more work, and I think I'll discuss what book I plan to read next tomorrow. So yeah, that's all for now. So I'll see you next. So it's the next day, and I've done some work and whatnot, and I have done some reading, and I started The Dry by Jane Harper. And this is about federal agent Aaron Falk. It hasn't been back to the place where he grew up 20 years. Not since he and his father were run out of town. Even when Falk gets word that his childhood best friend Luke is dead and his entire family murdered, Falk still isn't planning on going back. But then he gets a note. Luke lied, you lied, be at the funeral. And just like that, Falk is swept back into the secrets of the place and people he loved so long ago. When Falk returns for the funeral amid the worst drought in a century, long buried mysteries resurface along with the lies that accompany them. And Falk will discover anew what he's known all along. Sometimes you have to go back home in order to finally leave your past behind. And with this, I'm only on page 68, but I'm definitely intrigued. We see Luke as he goes back to his hometown, and his best friend is accused of murdering his wife and son and then killing himself, and yet for some reason he left his 13-month daughter, yeah, alive. So there's questions about that. And Aaron, he's not someone who's in that sort of department when it comes to the police force. He's more in a financial department, like tracking them, like embezzlement and those kind of crimes. So this isn't really his place. But Luke's parents, they want answers on why this could have happened. Luke's mother, Barb, it seems particularly like hard hidden by what happened, and she wants Falk to investigate, like, if Luke was in debt or if he owed someone money, if someone had a reason for this, because some things aren't adding up. And Falk finds himself working with the local police officer in town, Marco, who was only on a job for he started a job the day that Luke killed his family. And I'm guessing because they are a small town, they needed help from the closest city, and those city cops, like, they will try and cover their tracks to ensure that that it is reported that they didn't mess up this crime. So even if Walco has his own questions about everything, he cannot go to them. So Folk and Walco it seems like are working together, and Walco, he's investigating to see if Luke actually killed his family or if there's someone else, because of the fact Walco was the first cop on the scene, so he saw Luke's wife and saw Luke's son, and that triggered something in Walco as his wife is expecting a daughter, so there's that. And something else Walco noticed with Luke's son is that it seems like if Luke was the one who did it, he would know his son's hiding places. That's what a lot of fathers are like, I guess, or a lot of parents are like, knowing the children's hiding place. And yet, the way that the son's room was torn up, it was like someone was looking for him and didn't know those places, so he's like, hide outsiders. So there's that. And with Folk, he's like, oh, I'm only gonna be in town for the day, and then he extends it to a few days, like it's, I think, Thursday, and he's supposed to be back at work Monday, but then he's like, the scene I just read, he extends it, this break, I guess, for a week, calling him for personal time off for a week. And we learned some of the what Luke lied, you lied means is that Luke and Aaron, they had this friend who, when they were 16, was killed and her body was found in a local stream. The issue is that Aaron happened to be fishing near that stream, so to avoid people thinking he's guilty or questioning him, Luke came up with the I guess alibi that they were out shooting rabbits or something, and Luke's father somehow figured it out. And I'm curious on how he did that or what clues he got, as it also seems Luke isn't entirely innocent in what happened all those years ago, as Aaron never asked like where he was when their friend was killed, and as apparently Luke just wanted to keep the cover story as tight as possible, even like, when it was just the two of them, to make it seem as realistic as possible. So I am intrigued in how that comes into play, and yeah, and it seems like, I don't know, the memories we got of Luke is that there might be some violence in him, as they found the rabbit when they were kids once, and Aaron went inside for food for the rabbit, and then when he came back, the rabbit was dead, and they had put it in a box, and Luke was removing his hand from the box. So yeah, I don't know, I'm just curious in seeing how what happened all those years ago might be connected to now, because because it seems like there's still some grudges and some issues there. So yeah, it seems like this won't be an easy job for him personally, and as well how the town folk will react to him being back, because we saw how Ali's father and cousin reacted to him being back, and yeah, it was a good scene, but not a good scene in the sense it was original, but it was like very tense. So yeah, I'm just intrigued in what will happen next, and yeah, I think that's all for now. So I'll see you when I see you. So it's the next day, and I've just done some work and whatnot, and I've done some cleaning, and yeah. And I've done quite a bit of reading of the dry, putting me on page 162, and I'm definitely intrigued about this book. I'm thinking of how to discuss it, because we do get flashbacks to the past, intertwined with
the present timeline, like it's more like it's memories resurfacing sort of thing. And we do see how, despite the alibi that Luke created for him and Aaron to protect Aaron, Aaron's last name Folk was still written on a like piece of paper that was found in Allie's drawer alongside with the day she died, and it led to the police question Aaron's father as well, because he never said Aaron's name. And despite this, we see how Aaron and his father, they were horribly harassed. Like, people would follow Aaron home from school, they would throw like balls at their windows, breaking them. There was one lovely dead animal on their front door, and this led to Aaron and his father having to leave the town. And side note, I do like Aaron. He's not, because of what happened to him in his youth, he's not allowed anyone to get close to him in his adult life, which I find interesting. We see how he dated a woman like a few years prior, and she broke it off because she couldn't stand the fact that he wouldn't be open with her, he wouldn't tell her anything. He didn't allow himself close to anyone, and he likes living in, I think it's Melbourne he's in, as he just can be anywhere, be anyone, and just be invisible, and no one will follow him, no one will give him a hard time. So he likes that because of what he had to endure when he got close to someone when he in his youth, how their death negatively affected his livelihood and his livelihood. And in these flashbacks we also see Luke and Aaron and Allie, how it's initially just the three of them, and as they got older, Allie at one point drifted off, had girlfriends, and then came back to Luke and Aaron, and then Gretchen, who was Luke's girlfriend, joined in. We see how they come close through. We see there was something between Aaron and Allie, and it also looks like there was something between Luke and Allie. When we only get this from Aaron's POV and nothing from what our dead characters really. So I am intrigued if that will come into the picture or surface or whatever. And as well, there was tension in the group around the end of Allie's life, how Luke pulled this really stupid prank on the three of them, and it caused a bit of an argument that caused cracks to develop, and I'm curious in seeing more of how those cracks spread. Yeah. And in present day, we see how Folk, he is just investigating this case unofficially. He's asking questions, and it's causing the town people to be uncomfortable and for them to talk. And I get the idea that they just want this done and dusted. Like, they are already struggling. They don't need this negative press, because from what it sounds like, it will negatively affect them even more. Because Gretchen mentioned when she looked caught up that they've been trying to get some money donated by rich people to help with the school. So I guess it's like people are afraid that those rich people might not want to take a risk in a town that's had this horrific murder, and the murders kind of not been solved even though the cops have closed the case. So, and Luke is learning that people in town, there might be someone else who has a motive for Luke's death, who might be something a bit less personal, but in something to do with his land, like with the fact people are struggling, and this is a farming community that's been in a drought for years. people are desperate and someone might want to sell their land to certain developers to make a profit. So there's that idea, and we see as well how people are behaving with Aaron being back in town, how he's getting grief, and how people feel unsafe with him being back and feel unsafe with their children being around him. So as when he meets with Gretchen, another mom confronts them and even goes as far to threaten social services on Gretchen because of Aaron, even though he was never formally charged. Like, I don't know, seeing the stress people are in and how they're reacting due to that drought and really due to everything. So I do find that interesting, and as well we do learn that Luke's father Gary, he knew all along that the alibi was bullshit. That as he saw Luke on the day of Ellie's death coming from the direction of the river where she was found, and it looked like some white truck was following him. So, and white trucks in this area, they're quite common, it seems like. So yeah, I don't know, I'm just intrigued to see what happens next. And it also looks like Luke's, I guess, alibi for where he was on the day of his wife's and son's murder and his own death is bogus, because it seems like the person lied. So again, there's a lot of questions and a lot of curiosity about this novel, and yeah, overall I am liking it, but I don't know, I just feel like we're being told there's a lot of tension and we are seeing some stress, and some people being confrontational and seeing like how one down this town is becoming. So, but I don't know, there's still something that's missing for me, and I can't really put my finger on it. But yeah, there's a lot of intrigue about this case. So yeah, and yeah, I think that's all for now. So it's the next day, and as you saw, I did go out today. I just had to run some errands and whatnot. And I also did some reading of The Dry, with me on page 230, and I'm definitely intrigued, and I think I am kind of getting a feel of this place, of this small town. Like, I can feel, like, I guess this, how small it is and how much land there is compared to how many houses there are, if that makes sense, and how outsiders, like those who are from cities, they come here with a dream of peace and quiet and of being able to know your neighbors, and it's almost going from one extreme in the city to another extreme of endless farmland, and how people are also so busy to help each other out. So I do find that intriguing, and we do see how people in town, they are reacting to folk being back, how someone's, it seems like, scratched a message in his car saying they'll skin him alive, and people are putting around flyers to remind people of the fact that his last name was written on a piece of paper found in that girl's drawer all those years ago, and how people are just treating him extremely coldly, especially those who knew him when he was younger. So, and also we do see how what happened all those years ago did have a negative impact with his relationship to his father, how his father was also affected because he grew up in this town as well. I mean, his wife, Aaron's mother, was buried in this town. His friends are in this town, and yet they treated him like outsiders when what happened, and they were driven out of town, basically, and how even then, like, the father of the girl, of Ali, almost didn't allow them to leave. He wanted to punish them in his own way, to scare them, to ensure that they never come back, so... And it seems like Aaron and his father, they never talked about it, and Aaron's father, because he had to adapt to a new way of life, to the city life, and not be able to work on a farm, and he was never able to become accustomed to it. So I did find that interesting, and we do learn that Luke's wife Karen, she for some reason and somehow had Aaron's phone number written on a piece of paper, a receipt found in a library book. I'm imagining Luke gave it to her, and also the name of Brandon, question marks or exclamation points and underlined. So through the thing with Grant, who was Ali's cousin, was that he does have this so-called airtight alibi where he was working with a couple of people he works with, and they said that that's what he was doing, and it's like a bit questionable maybe, because I mean they are so loyal to him, they would say anything to protect him. So, and it seems like Jamie's alibi is not so airtight anymore, and we do learn the truth about it, and we do learn, I guess we do see how Jamie did it because he was in this relationship, and he and the other person, like, they have been going around in secret for so long that I guess to them lying about who they truly are almost became second nature, I'm guessing, in that, or Jamie's not like fully accepting of himself. Yeah. But I am curious in seeing where this goes next, because there are still, and I'm still curious to see how the book unravels from here. So yeah, the part I'm at, it seems like there might be a confrontation between Folk and Mao Deacon, who is Ali's father, and yeah, no love lost there. So yeah, I think that's all for now. So I'll see you when I see you. So it's the next day, and as you saw, I did go out today. Church near me was doing some sort of tag sale event, and I didn't buy anything, as nothing really got my eyes on them, and I just did some more grocery shopping and walked a bit, and it just definitely feeling like spring, I guess, like a typical spring where I live, so that's good and nice. And I have done some reading, and I did finish Dead Dry by Jane Harper just now, and I liked it overall. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. This wasn't anything mind-blowing, and it's definitely nothing new. The plot was this good old detective story, which I like sometimes. So, but one thing that actually comes into the picture is questioning folks' judgment. If his judgment's being clouded by being certain that it's these group of people, but that it's Jamie or Grant or Malcolm, and if it's in one of these 3, that he's not really looking at any other possibilities. And he learned something interesting about someone who he considered a friend in town, and it involves gambling, and we do learn that this person has a issue with gambling, and he's in a lot of debt. And it turns out it is this person as Luke's wife Karen. She worked as a secretary in the school, and she was the one who was like keeping track of the financial stuff, and they had gotten a grant from this
charity. The issue is Karen looked at the numbers at the accounts for the school and something wasn't adding up. She suspected it was this person and went to him. And it was. He had taken the money for his debt after his family had been threatened, and he killed her to keep her quiet. And he, for some reason, used Luke, like, I don't, as a trap as well, and had to only kill the son for liability, as he wasn't supposed to be there, but he was. And we just see that in the search for him and how he tries to get out of it by setting fire. And because of the drought, there's been signs saying that people need to be extremely cautious and that there's a extremely high fire risk, so no one's able to put on fire. So if he had actually lit that fire, the entire town would have burned down, and Folk and Wako, who is the police in charge in the town, were able to stop him. And Aaron, we also see gets closure, or the reader gets closure about what happened to Ali, about why people knew that the alibi was bogus, and some other things. And I'm not sure if Aaron ever gets that closure, because he finds Ali's diary, and I don't think she would have written, like, she would have been able to write that she heard the person who killed her come to her or coming towards her or anything. And we do learn who killed her and the so-called cover-up. And overall, I had fun with this. Like, another detective story just was fun, I guess. So 4 stars. And with that, and the fact that it's also Saturday, that also means it's the end of this vlog. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below telling me what you've been reading recently. If you want to, please subscribe to this channel, and if you want to follow me on any social media, then all those links are in the down bar below. I'll see you guys next time.